Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of the pre-purchase inspection series. If you missed episode 1 and 2, I'll link them up in the description. Episode 1's more about the exterior of the car and everything that could compromise the structural rigidity, accident history, anything that you might want to look out for when inspecting the exterior of the car. Episode 2 was about the interior of the car and things to look out for. Make sure the engine, all electronics, everything's working great. And episode 3 is going to be the test drive. So if you watched episode 1 and 2, welcome back again. And for the newbies, welcome to episode 3. I would advise watching 1 and 2 before this, but the order is not that important. So without any further ado, let's go for a test drive and see what it's like when you want to assess the drivability of a car. Make sure that there are no hidden issues while you're driving. So let's go. So the first thing I like to do before I drive off is try to test the engine mounts and the transmission mounts and make sure that the engine and transmission is sitting like it should with the proper support. And the way to test that is with your foot on the brake, put the car in drive, handbrake off. You're going to have to use 2 feet. Left foot on the brake, right foot, you just gently ease into it and look at how the engine responds. Are there any loud clunks? Do you feel the engine is lifting and trying to sit back? Anything like that. Put it in reverse. Do the exact same thing. The reverse gear should engage nice and smooth. You shouldn't feel any hard jolts, anything that feels that this is not how the car is meant to feel. Another thing that I will do is test the steering. With the car standing still and with the car moving. So with the car standing still, let me go full left to right and then right to left. Do that a few times. Now, keep your eye on the RPM when you're doing this. At the full lock, the RPM shouldn't dip. Also, the steering should be nice and smooth all the way from left to right. You shouldn't feel any kind of hard points or points that get smoother than they should. It should feel consistent left to right, right to left. That lets you know that your steering is intact and there is no damage there. So now we're ready to drive off. So let's engage drive, handbrake down, and just clear off. Now what I like to do at this point as well is find a nice open parking lot. And with the car rolling, try the full lock thing again. So I'll try to do a full 360. Keep an ear out. It helps to have the window open as well. Do you hear any clicking or grinding or rubbing of wheels onto the wheel well? In this case, the car sounds great. We're ready to move on. So now we're on the move, and I'm going to be on the hunt for a speed bump, which shouldn't be too hard to find here in Dubai. Speaking of which, here we go. Now the purpose of this speed bump is to let me know if there's anything wrong with the suspension of the car, any loose bits underneath, shock absorbers, ball joints, technical stuff that you don't need to worry about at this point. But here we go. Let's listen out. See, that was great because what I heard was absolutely nothing. I didn't hear any loud bangs and bobs and stuff that I shouldn't have heard. And also an indication of the suspension health is that when the car went over the speed bump, it bounced evenly at the front and evenly at the back. It didn't go left to right, which generally when you have a weak shock absorber, you might feel the car goes a bit left to right on a speed bump. You'll also want to look at the braking of the car. So how does the car brake in normal day-to-day conditions? And how does it brake at higher speeds? Going around here, you can put your foot down a tiny bit and then brake. No loud sounds. The car braked evenly, didn't go veer off to the left or to the right. Let's go on. You want to assess the gear changes. How does the car change gear when you're cruising like this around town? Do you feel the gear changes? Especially we're talking about an automatic transmission. Manual transmission has a whole other conversation. We've got to look into clutch bites and all of these things. But let's assume for argument's sake, we're just driving an automatic. I want to set off very slowly. I want to see that first gear engagement. It's also not a bad idea just to put it in neutral and then back and drive. Did I feel any gear engagement? No, it was just seamless. I couldn't detect it. That's a good sign. Back to the transmission mount and engine mount test that we had a bit earlier, but now the car is in motion. So here we are. This is first gear. Second gear, just butter smooth. Third gear. Fourth gear. Beautiful. Now we'll also want to try this with a bit more of an aggressive acceleration to see under pressure, does the transmission shift just as smooth, or are there any underlying conditions? So let's see over here. Put my foot down. Nice. Heavy brake right before the speed bump. Let's go a bit faster on that speed bump. I hate that I did that to my own car, but I'm doing this for YouTube. That's sun in my face though. So transmission seems fine. You shouldn't hear any clunks or hard gear shifts or any of that. That's giving you an indication that the transmission is not in good condition. It will be pretty costly to fix. Which brings me to the last point, is checking the steering wheel alignment. And a quick way to do that is when you're driving just kind of like on a straight road, flat road, no curves, let go of the steering wheel and just see, does the car stay on course? That lets you know if there's any issues with wheel alignment, tire, suspension, anything that could potentially cost you. So that's the end of the pre-purchase inspection series. I hope you found it useful and valuable, and now you feel a bit more confident about inspecting a car for yourself. There's no harm in just doing it for the fun of it on a friend's car, just to get used to the process, and then that way when you want to buy a car for yourself, you're quite confident with how it works. It's been a pleasure doing this series, and if you gained value once again, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. All of it helps me a great deal. I do want to thank you once again, and I wish you all the best finding a good, clean, used car. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. Jot them down in the comments. And if you do buy a car using this method, please let me know. Reach out to me. I'd love to hear how your experience was. So that's it. That's all I have to say, and I wish you well.